Hey guys, welcome back to Subnautica. We need to move, because I can't listen to that refact call anymore. But before we get into where we're moving our base to and everything else we're doing today, there's some stuff we didn't cover the other day, and I think the Let's Play would be improved if I actually make a point to go on my way and show it to you. So for us, exploring the Aurora was really uneventful. It's obviously something you're encouraged to do in the early game, and when you explore the Aurora, you're almost certainly likely to find a Reaper Leviathan. We didn't. We just went straight there and straight back, no problems at all. But if you don't encounter a Reaper Leviathan, your playthrough is very different and far less stressful. So I feel it's important to go show off that Reaper Leviathans are a thing, and they exist, and you should be horrified of them. So, for one reason or another, the community has nicknamed the Reaper out here Sammy the Safety Reaper. And the meme is that he's not trying to hurt you, he's just trying to see if your Seamoth is up to standards. And spoiler alert, it isn't. Your Seamoth is a death trap, and he's going to show you how. And I'm fully intending to just, have my Seamoth die here. If it turns out it lives, I'm not going to bother reloading my save, but I'm just here to show you that this is a thing. Yeah, it's kind of a big thing. So, the way I went in, where you just immediately cut in, you don't really encounter the Reaper very much. But here's Sammy, and he's kind of a dick. This just seems entirely unnecessary to me. You could have been like, oh, dude, your tail light's out.
Oxygen efficiency decreased.
Anyway, that's what a Reaper Leviathan is. They're all over the place, on every single side of the Aurora. And when I say that they're all over the place, I mean that they actually have, set spawn and control paths, and every single part of the Aurora has Reaper Leviathans around it. You don't know this as a new player, though. As a new player, all you know is that deep water is filled with terrifying, awful monsters, and you don't want to ever go into deep water again. And I think it's just very important that I take a bit of time out of this episode to be like, hey, this is a thing. It's an awful, awful thing, and you should be aware that your first time through the game, you're terrified of these. Like these days, I know that the Seamoth is marginally faster than a Reaper Leviathan. If I keep going, it won't catch me. These days, I know that one hit won't kill my Seamoth from 100% health, so I feel pretty much invincible. But as a new player, I just know, dear God, don't touch me. Please don't touch me ever again. So right now, I'm just sort of screwing around, grabbing stuff around here as I head back to the base. And as I said, I'm planning on moving a base to a new location, because I really don't like listening to the refacts. They are incredibly loud. And specifically, I suppose I'll need to change my settings, because I want to show on the map what I'm talking about. Yes, let's go into options real quick. And under mods, I can turn off the fog of war on the map. What is this? Oh, power transmitters. I never use thermal vents, which is why I don't recognize that. So let's hop in the Seamoth and start driving back to base. And while we're doing that, I'll hop into the map. Oh, you can't drive while in the map. Damn shame. So hopping over to the biome view, you can see there are a lot of biomes in the game. And in particular, if you were to set up a base somewhere in this area, you'd have access to most of them fairly quickly. And specifically, I'm planning on setting my base around here. I'll get further into that in a little bit, but for now, that's all you need to know.
This is Life Pod 7. Coordinates attached. Pod is structurally sound, but the fabricator's bust. Requesting assistance. 7 out.
And I believe this is the exact area I was looking for. So this area on the map isn't just near a lot of biomes. It's also near the biomes that are further down. Here you can see the entrance to the Jelly Shroom Caves directly beneath me. But even more, there are several entrances to the Lost River. Yeah, here you can see that the exits are marked. And this is important because pretty much all the ways to get into Lost River are on the west side of the map. There's one exception, so this is pretty close to nearly everything in the game. The only things this isn't right next to are basically the mountains and the dunes. And that's not really important to me. The mountains and the dunes are just awful. They're completely filled with Reaper Leviathans. Why would I want to be there? At the very least, why would I want ready access to those locations, opposed to just going to them once? And we're not actually going to be building our whole base right now. We're just going to throw down one thing, build a locker to keep our stuff in. The reason that is because I put up a tutorial like a day ago about how to sequence break specifically for alien containment and multi-purpose rooms. And that is exactly what I intend to do, because those are things that I want now. I've just realized that I don't have my rebreather on me, and suddenly I'm no longer feeling up to what I originally had planned, so we're going to be doing this in a slightly different and less efficient order, but who gives a shit, it's fine. Subnautica's a pretty chill game, you don't need to min-max to get everything right. Even at this point, we pretty much have infinite food, so I'm not super concerned about the idea that I'm going to run out of food because I'm wasting time going back and forth. And we have more batteries than we could possibly need thanks to going to the Aurora, so I'm not concerned on the power self-run either. Oh, an infected crab squid. I don't think I've ever actually seen one of these before. A little bit spookier than normal. Anyway, this is the sequence break done. We now have the multi-purpose room and the alien containment. We're not going to be doing anything else here now. I just want these two items for base building purposes.
Mass somewhere in this area. Unable to confirm whether it originated on the Aurora. New blueprint acquired.
So, while I'm traveling around, something that occurs to me that I kind of want to talk about involving Reaper Leviathans is two things. First off, their name is just ridiculous. Because it's Reaper, like the Grim Reaper, but giant. Death Incarnate wasn't badass enough, right? You can just give it like a relatively normal name or a scientific name, and then tell me not to mess with it. You don't need to name it literally the Grim Reaper. The other thing I realized about Reaper Leviathans, though, is that even if they were given a calming or scientific name, the PDA would just make it something horrifying anyway. And it'd name it something ridiculous in Latin, like Gigas Mortem, so Titan Death, right? Nothing that made any sense.
High priority automated message from Aurora. Live pod 13 coordinates attached. Live pod is carrying high priority passenger.
Yoki Kasa. I said Kasa. Why do I have to record this anyway?
Send immediate burial detail.
Signal location uploaded to PDA.
Little bits of pitch black humor like that are really, really enjoyable to me. So the reason that I wanted to get the multi-purpose room before I started doing anything else is that I need multi-purpose rooms so that I can make sure all of this lines up, as opposed to hoping it lines up and not really knowing, which is what I'd be doing if I started without them.
It may be prudent to separate work and leisure spaces to maximize productivity. Treat this space as your home, but never forget that it is not.
And this is exactly the reason why I wanted to get the multi-purpose rooms before I started making a base, is because it turns out this one's not lined up in a way where I can actually attach it to the one over here. Okay, so I'm sure you're noticing my base is a little bit filled with water, which is obviously suboptimal, but except for that, everything's completely fine. So the reason my base is filled with water is because I made it much too large and the pressure collapsed it. But I was trying to make sure that it was big enough so that it would actually, like, be the skeleton for what I wanted to grow my base into later on. And I believe I've accomplished that. Once I finish patching all the holes in the walls, I'll show you what it looks like from the outside.
Integrity restored. Draining systems initiated.
See, everything's fine. Okay, so that's a little bit absolutely hideous, unfortunately, but you just have to live with the struts in this game being weird. When I say I wanted to get the skeleton for the base right, what I meant is I wanted to have each of these multi-purpose rooms centered over one of the pillars. And that requires you to do a lot of planning and trial and error to get it to line up right. And once I build an extension here and a multi-purpose room here, it all lines up perfectly. And I shouldn't possibly need more than 3 stacks of multi-purpose rooms. But if I do, I can build onto other platforms. I can't imagine I will, though. This is already... you can get through the entire game with a single crawl section for a base. You don't need anything. But this is a 100% completionist playthrough. We need an absolutely massive base, mostly for growing aliens. We're going to hatch every egg in the game, and that means we're going to need a lot of alien containments. Now, while I'm here, since it's stopping me from making my base bigger and I need lithium, I'm just going to go to the Jelly Shroom Caves now and pick up some lithium. I absolutely love the wildlife in the Jelly Shroom Caves. The crab snakes, the glowing mushrooms, everything down here is just fantastic. It's very alien and beautiful, more so than even most of the biomes in this. That's a Degassi Sea base, which I'm sure we'll explore at some point, but right now I just want a handful of lithium so I can make my base bigger. Ignore all the screaming, I'm sure we're fine. We're not fine at all, I lied to you.
The conditions in this cave support a microcosm of unique, possibly predatory life forms. Detecting an artificial structure somewhere in the region.
Would you believe, Mr. PDA, that I've already found that one? Down here we're also going to find the Oculus, which is the best fish for throwing into the bioreactor. Of course we're going to find crab snakes, no shortage of them. Look, just bite me and then leave so I can do stuff. Alright, that works too, just leave without biting me. That's great. And the 2 resources down here are shale and magnetite. Shale being useful for gold and lead, but most importantly lithium, which I need to load up to make my base durable. And magnetite's incredibly important for scanner room upgrades, and I don't remember what it's used for beyond that. Kind of a lot of Oculuses.
New creature discovered.
I need 1 for my collection at least. Oh, 1 second. Oh, I believe I might have activated Super Seaglide by accident. This seems really fast. Right? This is not as fast as the Seaglide's supposed to be. Yeah, I've got Super Seaglide right now because I've been inside of my flooded base, I think. Definitely. This is way faster than I'm supposed to be. So what's happening right now is there's a glitch. You can see I'm clipping to the ground a bit, moving way faster than I should be. If you exit a base while it's flooding, which is what I did, it will think that you're walking and swimming at the same time, and the way that works is it just gives you the speed from both of those, so you end up moving way faster than you're supposed to. I won't really be making use of that intentionally, but I feel like I should explain it since it's a thing that's happening right now. Since I'm in the Seamoth, nothing weird is happening, but when I hop out and use the Seaglide, I am stupidly fast. And we're probably going to lose it in a second, so I'm planning on heading back into base, and that will cancel it out. Alright, so I'm going to slap on a couple of reinforcements, and that should be more than enough to fix our base forever. Yeah, 1 reinforcement is 7 whole strength. And I think the base default is 7. I can triple the size of my base at this point. And here you can see I can just build the multi-purpose rooms up or down. They stack on top of each other. And what I'm doing with this one specifically is I'm going to build a ladder down.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
And we're going to make this a bioreactor, because I just need a source of power. So previously there was a room down here that was flooded. I had to remove it so that my base could start working again. Apparently the game remembers that the room down here was flooded, even though I got rid of it. So the room didn't spawn empty this time. That's a new one. So I need a wiring kit and lubricants. And I'm not surprised to find out that I don't have lube lying around. Alright, so I'll see you guys again in a bit. I'm going to keep building my base, which requires more trips back to the original base. Actually, this time I'm not going to be heading straight back to the base. I'm going to stop and look around, because I want the beacon blueprint, which I don't seem to have found yet, because I didn't do a whole lot of exploring in the safe shallows this game. I'm also going to need more titanium, so I'm going to be picking up all the salvage that I see lying around. I guess we should listen to this radio message.
This is Life Pod 2, coordinates attached. We're way past our safe depth and bleeding O2. We'll have to swim for the surface, but it's 500 meters straight up. We'll make for the rendezvous and keep you posted. Out.
Signal location uploaded to PDA.
And spoiler alert, you can't swim that far. They're super dead, just like everyone else.
Aurora, we're approaching the planet now. We have a landing site for you that's... well, it's better than the alternatives. We've sent you the coordinates. It'll take us a couple of days to align our orbit. Should be able to establish direct contact with you during that time. Then we're coming in to get you. Cross your fingers, the weather holds. Don't leave us waiting. Sunbeam out.
So, great news, the game ends in 40 minutes, we're about to be saved. However, ideally, I'd like to finish my base before they show up. Be a bit embarrassing if they show up and like, alright, so how have things been? I'm like, oh, I'm homeless. And the time since I crashed here, I've done literally nothing. And I'm trying not to veer too far over in this direction, because there are a bunch of Reapers at the edge of the ship, and they will occasionally wander over here. They're not supposed to, but they glitch out and do it rather frequently. Now, hopefully I'll find the beacon blueprints around while I'm looking for salvage, because I really would like to mark the Aurora. Alright, here's half of the beacon. Because, like, while I have the map, it's not really smooth gameplay to constantly flip the map open. I still want to use beacons, I just don't want to rely on them entirely this game. So this wreck seems like it's going to be pretty small and easy to get through. I don't remember specifically what it is, but based on its location in the safe shallows, I assume there's not a whole lot to it. There is a beacon, which is all I really care about. Oh, there's also several more beacons.
Acquired.
There's more beacons than you could possibly need in here. That looks like it's pretty much everything. It would seem my plan to avoid the reefbacks has failed. The reefbacks have come to me. That's unfortunate. Well, I guess we're just staying here then.
Playing partially translated broadcast.
Destroyed. Mode. Patrol. New targets unaccounted for. 1.
So that's actually really cool. That's the Warper broadcast when they start hunting you. They don't actually hunt you, it's just a thing that, like, happens lore-wise. There's no mechanics change that's associated with that. But that usually happens when you do a bunch of stuff involving the aliens. Apparently the trigger is just going to the Nagasi base. So, even though we've done nothing involving the aliens or the Warpers, they are furious with us. That's kind of neat, actually. I didn't realize that sequence breaking the alien containment would cause that to trigger early. Unintended gameplay consequences for my ridiculous aesthetics, I guess. So I'm just gonna convert all of this creepvine into stuff. None of it actually matters. I probably just picked up more lube than I will use in the entire game.
A reliable power source is a critical step towards self-sufficiency. Consider keeping a photojournal of your achievements to motivate you in times of despair.
I fucking love the PDA in this game. Oh, that's so good. Anyway, it's time to convert all of these floaters I've been carrying around into fuel. Now, I've just been throwing things into lockers willy-nilly, haven't paid any attention at all to what goes where. That'll cause an issue for me, but that's fine. It's a minor issue that I can deal with later. Alright, so all of these floaters are immediately going into the wood chipper, or the furnace, rather. And that'll help with power quite a lot. In the long term, I'm probably going to end up setting up a second bioreactor. But for now, 1 and 2 solar panels is way, way more than I need. Just going to grab a couple more floaters, because that's not going to be enough to completely fill the base. By which I mean, the bioreactor has a capacity that we'll get up to. It will burn things until it has a full charge. And then once it starts using power from that charge, it will burn more things to get there. And the amount of floaters I have now probably doesn't even get to full charge. So I'm just going to harvest all of these and throw them into the furnace. Whatever can't fit, I'm going to put it into the boxes next to it. And that should be power covered for a very long time. What else do I need to do? Well, I'm going to quickly add this final irrelevant bit of the base just so that it'll be here. But it doesn't matter at all. This is just a thing that I want for aesthetics. In the future this will matter, but not right now. And that actually reminds me that there is a piece of the base that I do want to exist right now that doesn't. I want to make a scanning room. And that means I need some table coral, which is unfortunately a bit further off than I would like it to be, so we're going to grab a couple more random supplies and head back yet again. Slight problem. Alright, so the sea moth needs a new power cell. Turns out all this traveling has its costs. Anyway, the scanning room is complete, so that's absolutely great news for us. We can start finding minerals much, much more effectively. But really, it just feels like an important part of the base to me. I don't actually need it, I just want to have it. And we should probably, like, get the power cell out of the box and put that in the sea moth. I don't need these very often. I'm just going to put them down here since they're plant life. That vaguely makes sense to me. There are a lot of really little things in Subnautica that I love. And a good example of that is the way that I have to go behind the sea moth like this to put the power cell in. There are just so many things that could have just been a vehicle that didn't have any depth to it. And the sea moth is so much more developed than that. So is the prawn suit and the Cyclops. They're both just fantastic. Everything just feels a little bit more real than it necessarily needed to be, and that just makes Subnautica feel so much more charming than it might have otherwise been. So right now, my head's in a bit of a state because I've done a lot of base building and running around. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it here. Today we've made a decent amount of progress. We've gotten a real base up in a much better location. We haven't really done anything outside of that, but having a proper home feels like it matters, even if in reality it kind of doesn't. So that's it for now. This has been rather Incoherent. I hope you had a good time. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that other shilly channel growth nonsense. I'll see you around.